What are you known for? What are you known for in life? I know I'm known for liking shoes. I just know that. I just look around and see people. Rachel Barnett is known for feeding people. That's what she does. She makes pies and delivers them. Rich is known for playing the drums really, really well and loud. Gerard's known for just being this wise person. So no pressure there, Gerard, at all. What are you known for? And what will you be remembered for in life? I kind of hope I'm remembered for more than liking shoes. I hope there's a little bit more to me than that, but who knows. I'd like to share with you just a few verses from the Bible. And I'd like you just to think about that question when you hear this story. I'm going to read it slowly. And when you hear the main character in the story, Jesus is in that as well, but the main other character, think about what she is known for. So I'm reading from Mark chapter 5, starting at halfway through verse 24. A large crowd followed Jesus and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." Immediately her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. The woman with no name, as many of the women in the Bible, it's true to say of them too. I really hope that this woman is not simply remembered as the woman who bled for 12 years. I hope that we can hear more, much, much more to her story than that. The story of this woman takes place as part of a larger story, if you like. Jesus is on his way to a synagogue leader's house to heal his dying daughter when this unnamed woman causes an interruption to his progress. And this poor woman had a continuous period for 12 years. She'd been, according to Jewish law, therefore, unclean, unholy, and untouchable for all that time. Just imagine it for a moment. Unclean, unholy, untouchable for 12 years. Her self-esteem, her sense of self-worth must have been rock bottom, if existent at all. And all her previous efforts to find some kind of wholeness had come to nothing. She'd spent all that she had. She had nothing left. She was at the end of her resources, at the end of her capabilities, probably at the end of her tether, and probably feeling like life was not worth living. Now, some might criticize this woman for trying everything before Jesus. But I don't want to do that. Who knows? This could have been her first chance to actually encounter Jesus, to actually seek his help. Remember that Jesus, God in human form, was limited to being in one place at a time on this earth. And here he was, where she wasn't just able to hear about him, as presumably she had done in the past, but she was able to find him, to see him, to reach out to him. And we're told that she'd heard about him, and so she sought him out. Here he was, and actually, if she just reached out, if she could just touch his cloak. And so she did. A bleeding and therefore, in the culture of the day, unclean, unholy woman was a brave, bleeding woman in a sacred space in that moment, sharing the space with Jesus as he shared the space with her. This untouchable woman, in desperation, dares to touch. Jesus doesn't regard her through the cultural lens of the day. Thank God. No unclean woman here, according to Jesus. Rather, a person in need, a person created in the image of God, in great need. And so, as in keeping with how Jesus seems to operate, he responds with compassion, love, presence, and help. I love this brave and desperate woman. I love the fact that she thinks if I just touch, then something's going to change, something's going to happen. And I guess that is the simple challenge of this evening. I don't come here with smart answers this evening. I come here as a fellow traveler on the way of Jesus Christ. I come here broken and bruised. I come here with my joys and my celebrations. And I come here with my sadnesses as well. But I come here knowing that there is something about the reaching out that is utterly precious. There is something about the reaching out when we're in the dark times and when we're in the good times, when we're in the valleys and when we're on the mountaintops. The God of the mountain is the God of the valleys. We've just been singing. And you know what else I love about this story? If you read on, when you get home, you'll see that after she reaches out to Jesus and touches, then Jesus kind of seeks her out as well. Who touched me? He says. And so the account continues. And he reaches out. He wants to know who it is. He wants to know who this brave person is who's reached out and touched. He wants to meet her. He wants to have that encounter with her. I'll come back to the basic challenge of this evening, but I just want to veer off just for a moment because I was deeply challenged when I was just doing a bit of reading up around this passage and just remembering again how Jesus cast aside the cultural lens of the day in order to be there for her. And I wonder what that looks like for us to, in a sense, see things through the eyes of the compassion and the love and the grace of God rather than the cultural lens that we might find ourselves in today. How we view others. Which lens do we choose? And do we have different lenses for different people? Do some people look better to us than others? Our example is always Jesus. Compassion and grace and challenge and change and love without limit. Reaching out, back to reaching out. This brave and desperate woman reached out. Who do we reach out to when life gets tough, when it's not going as we would hope it would and as we would like it to, and as we feel maybe it should? Do we use our faith as a last resort, or does it become our first port of call? Have we journeyed in that so that Jesus is the one we go to first and foremost with all that we encounter in our lives, the good and the bad? This evening, I'd like us just to remember that we are invited to reach out to the compassionate, grace-filled, amazing world transformer who is Jesus Christ, and recognize that he reaches out to us too. Jesus Christ, the hope of the nations, grace-filled, filled with compassion, mercy, more loving than we can ever imagine. This is our God. So this evening, as we continue to worship together, the invitation is to reach out just as we are, just as we are. To reach out for ourselves, to reach out for one another, picking up what Rachel shared with us. Again, as the last couple of Sunday nights, the communion rail, there's some kneelers here. If you would find it helpful to come and kneel in response or in prayer, then please do so. I'll be loitering over this side. If anyone would like prayer, then please come forward. I'd love to pray with you. I pray that we would be bold enough, like the woman, to reach out to Jesus and recognize him reaching out to us.